Can you hear me now? I'm betting anything you can. Here it comes. All right. Let's get this puppy going. Now, I'm not going to be paying attention to chat too much when my guest gets on. Do I have any hammers in the room? Who wants a hammer? And don't hesitate to just knock them out forever. All right. All right, you know what I want everybody to do in chat right now? Without looking it up, spell the word occurrence. Occurrence. Now, I figure some of these will get it right. I had a couple of people actually spelling it right, but okay, yeah, keep going. That's nice. That's nice. Anybody see a problem here? Okay, tell you what, transcend and Sherry D. That's how I used to spell it. That's not right. Jen's Gems and Ashley. They got it right. But I remember it with the ANCE. And I know this because when I was finishing up my book, I was writing on the back, and the word occurrence came up, and that's how I spelled it, OCCURANCE. And just, it came up as incorrect. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Now, I left the word there, not spelled the wrong way, which I remember the right way, which I feel like I should have done. I actually spelled it the proper way in this timeline. And that kind of cracks me up that I did that, because a couple of times in the book, I would hint towards things. So that's right. I left it there. OCCURRENCE. In the book. I don't know if you guys seen the last video I put out, the Dark Files. I won't be doing that again. I chopped up so much of it because it was, excuse me. I mean, I was F-bombing all over the place, getting angry at stuff. I mean, almost exaggerated because I was trying to build up emotion. I was trying to prove a point for different things, and I just got rid of all that stuff. But I just needed to get that stuff out. I had that stuff sitting around for a while, and now that I have a new editing problem, I could probably get it out. What else I got here? Oh, and last week's show. Now, the week before, I had Guy Fawkes on. And I'd say about 3 days before the show, we were talking. And he said, hey, what happened to the show last week? And I said, what are you talking about? He said, yeah, you weren't on. And I said, no, I went on, and I looked on YouTube, and I'm checking it out. I said, yeah, it says it was 3 days ago it was. And he's like, oh, okay, I must have missed it, whatever. So now I haven't looked at the dates, but I'm looking at all these videos and it looks like I haven't missed a week at all. And it's cracking me up. I'm like, I don't even want to look at the dates because last week I did miss. I was up all day with the book and then working on the day off and just bogged down, tired. I would not have put on a good show. Now I feel like I said this before, and Guy said, "Hey, why'd you miss the show?" And now I'm starting to think his show was last week. It feels like it was last week, but no, I missed last week's show, and I feel Guy created that. I just helped him out. So I don't know. Now I am waiting for a guest who I do expect to show. And he's been talking about the event lately. Anybody hear this thing about the event? I'm sure you have. Now we're all waiting for the event. When before we were all waiting for the second coming and the fake alien invasion. And all these things did to me was drum up emotion. Emotion that I didn't need, emotion that I didn't want. This emotion transforms into whatever I'm thinking, where I am in my mind, where is my state of mind, and that's what I'm creating around me. So, anticipating a fake alien invasion, even though I know it's fake, is still drumming my creative power in a different direction, in a direction I don't want it to go in. Um, that's to me, it's got to be one of the ingredients, the emotions, because that's what they're always playing on. Watching TV, the news, whatever. It's all just to dumb down your emotions so you don't know that you can create. And that's just, to me, the simple, plain fact of it. But it's not a fact. I don't think there are facts. You know. So tomorrow, no, I'm sorry, today, I will be getting the copy of my book, The Proof. And I get to go through it and email them and tell them, go ahead, put it in print. Now I had the price set at $17.77, and I want to drop that down at the very least for you guys. I'm thinking if there's a way to do it, I'll do some kind of coupon link or something and get you $3 off, make it $14.77, or I just might make the book $14.77 straight out. It kind of makes more sense. The number, I mean, I was up in the 20s, and I'm like, no. Talking with other people who've done it, trying to compare what was going on. So we'll see about that. I just jumped off of the whole event thing because I've known about it since the 80s, or read about it at the very least. Different terminology, photon belt coming in, and everybody's going to see the truth. A lot of us have already seen the truth. And, was it a shock? Yeah, it was a shock when you first come to realize what the Mandela Effect is doing, or if you see it or notice it. And then I don't know. I don't want to go too far off on the event, and I'm hoping my guest and I will sit and talk about that for a little bit. I think that'd be good. But I've known about it, waited. 2012 was a trigger point for me, even though, I mean, that was embedded in my head back in the 80s, 90s. 2012 was a trigger point for me, and I had a death experience late 2011. Not a death experience, an accident that I walked away from. So that was a big trigger point for me, 2012. That's when the Berenstein Bears showed up for me. Had nothing to do with the spelling, but this thing, and now we're all talking about it now. And honestly, I feel like it's already here. It's already been showing itself, at least the fringe, working its way in. And I'm trying to live more of a fifth dimensional life as compared to a third dimensional life. I get it, but I'm still 3D, and it's about getting out of your head. For me, it's about getting out of my head. But with the book, I'm pretty excited. I'll probably just sit and try and read through it the whole day. Just, I'm hoping if there's going to be any changes, it'll just be a page here or there. I can get them to do that and get it out. But speaking of books, I should bring this up. I was just looking when I was comparing prices for books. No. And Mandela Effect in books. Now, if you don't know the whole story, February 2017, Stasha Erickson's book, The Mandela Effect, Everything is Changing, came out. Now, when that came out, I went on Amazon and I looked around for Mandela Effect books, and there were none. I couldn't find anything. And so I went ahead and got her book. Now, come September, October, no, it might have even been this December, I go ahead and I'm looking up Mandela Effect books because I'm writing the book. I want to see what's going on. I'm wrong. Was it June? No, that's right. But it wasn't as late as December, I don't think. Anyway, yeah, time's all coming together for me. I go on and I find a number of books. I bought them all. I was going to buy them all. It didn't matter. 1, 2, 3. So I bought 3, 4. I bought 4 Mandela Effect books. And I think I talked about them very vaguely. I'm not a critic on these things. I may be a critic on the Mandela Effect and how people need to be a little more open about it. Well, whatever. Do what you want. But I got these books. I bought them. And, I go recently look. And I find out then that there's the one book called Alternate, The Mandela Effect, was actually put out in, I want to say 16. And if these years are wrong, just back them up a year. And that came out, and then he came out with another version of it. And now I see he's got Alternate 2, Searching for Answers. I didn't notice that. I also bought The Mandela Effect Ascension and The Great Deception of the Mandela Effect, The Mandela Effect Journal. Those are the books I grabbed. That's all the books that were out. So this afternoon, yesterday, I'm on Amazon looking up Mandela Effect books, and what's strange is the Kindle edition, there's, I don't know, I think I counted 6, 7 Kindle edition Mandela Effect books that don't cost anything. They're free, and the star ratings aren't all that good. But I don't get it. What is that out for? And there's one here, Mandela Effect. What do we know so far? This wasn't here before. I mean, they all could have just been put out. Now this was interesting. Lost in the Arm of Orion. It's like, wow, I would have picked up on that. The Mandela Effect in Parallel Dimensions. Here's another one. Mandela Effect, Shattering a Timeline. Kindle. You could buy it for $3, but for Kindle, it's nothing. I just don't, it's like the journal is $16. At least that gives you 90 pages to write in. I don't know what these could be for nothing. I have this Shawn Capriani. I think she's written 3. And one's Lost in the Arm of Orion. Technology, the Mandela Effect in Parallel Dimensions, Living the Mandela Effect, Worldwide Reality Shifting, a guide to staying sane and surviving your new reality. Just from what I've seen on the cover and looking at them, they look interesting. Got them in my cart. I have another one here, the Mandela Effect. Confabulation or fact, and that's $2 to buy. 0 on Kindle. I don't understand that Kindle. I know it's the pad or whatever. I don't understand why it's free. Maybe you buy the Kindle thing and you get whatever you want. But the books, 99 cents. Sam Wilson. There was an extinction level event in 2012, and we all now live in a simulation. It's a great theory, but he's writing a book on it and saying, like, this is it. I mean, maybe he knows. I don't know. There's the 2012 thing. Makes me want to put the 99 cents up to buy the book. What you guys doing in chat? Anything? Just listening to me? Not. I'll keep going. The Layman's Guide to Quantum Reality. That's probably a decent book. It's, it looks like it has some content. But that's just from the cover. Don't judge a book from its cover. Mandela Effect coloring book. That's $7.25. Mandela Effect, 0 on Kindle, 99 cents to buy. I mean, I want it. Now, this has 3.5 stars. That's the most I've seen. The Mandela Effect in Me. I didn't even see this yesterday, or when I looked at it this afternoon. Part 1. See, now this I'd find interesting because it sounds like it's going to be about his experiences. Holographic universes. Mandela Effects, time travel. The Mandela Effect, the Prophet Daniel, and Antichrist. I'm going to have to grab some of these. The New Dimensional Reality. There's one. Berenstein with an E. The Mandela Effect. 99 cents. I've seen that name before. Michael Scanlon. The Mandela Effect Test. $3. an explanation of the Mandela Effect. 12 used from 1094, $11. Living in a fractured multiverse. There's Shawn Capriani. I'm gonna have to find out who this woman is. She's got what, 4 books out on this subject. But that's the thing. In December, I would have seen this. Last August when I was every once in a while I jump on, see what kind of books are out there. Why? Because I'm writing one. These books weren't out there. Residual Evidence, a Mandela Effect World crime novella. And so what's that? Could be a fictional story about it, which would be quite interesting. I don't know what that novella is. So crime novella. I'm wrong about that. Let's look at it. Let's give her due. Following a near-death experience, he immediately goes down the rabbit hole chasing answers. While down there, he learns the effect may be caused by timelines merging and involving an involuntary jumping. Little does he know, he will soon be using a timeline jumping technique on purpose to blow open a drug smuggling ring and to save his wife from her abductors. Linda Anderson with 2 S's. Never seen that before. The upside down V for an A. For all the A's. This could be a fun read. I mean, this could be a nice way to distract yourself. You feel like, especially when you're reading, writing, no TV, no outside stimulation, no electronic stimulation. But reading, I think Linda Anderson's got the right idea here. That could be neat. $9 paperback. That I'm going to put in my cart. Why not? Or not. Let's see. Add to cart. Boom. Mandela Effects. Is the Mandela Effect real or proof of a holographic universe? Mandela Effect would still be real. This is this Dr. Soul. I'm going to butcher it, and it's simple, right? Odani, another Italian. And he's had about 3 or 4 books. But it doesn't, this one's only on Kindle for $9.99. What do we have here? Knowledge on health. No, has nothing to do with it. Ascension, timeline shifts, and consciousness. Channeled messages from Brother Juan and the Great One as received by Margot. I didn't realize I could write that much in the front. That don't matter. Mandela Effect Ascension. The Unforgivable Minute. Quantum Physics Can Be Murder. Look, a science fiction thriller. Quantum Physics. That's another one. I might have to write a science fiction Mandela Effect book. Could be a thing. It looks like that's about it. False memories or different realities. Nope, sorry, still going. But these are all, I'm going to have to try to buy one of these to see what they're like. Because if it's people's experiences, I'm in. I want to read that stuff. That's what I want to read. That's what I want to see. Let's go to page 4. All right, we're starting to dwindle down to nothing. Well, we have Solo Donde again. It looks like this might have been one of his earlier books because his name's different. Amazing Mandela Effect, Messiah erased from billions of Bibles and quatrains on May 1st, 2017. Time to evolve to a guide to a better reality. 99 cents on Kindle. Nice looking cover. The center of all things. I like these titles. I don't see. Do not sleepwalk. That's nope. That's nothing. The Order of Memory. Battle of the Blood Moons. Be interested in that. And that looks like a real paperback book. Interesting. I figure out where I'm going to put my focus. So what's going on in chat? Kindle can most. Yeah, I thought about getting Kindle. I don't know. Hey, Noble. Noble in the room. Probably for a while now, yeah. Yeah. But I'm surprised. It's just, to me, that's one of the things that has been happening. I'm looking up these books. First there's one, and it's the first one that comes out. Then there's another one. Then there's four more, and Stasha Erickson's book is not the first one, and I'm telling you, it was. Back when to me, I mean, unless there were some other titles or people. I mean, I'm not saying. Okay, let me rephrase. It was the first book that titled The Mandela Effect. Quantum shifting may have been going on, and people may be talking about it in other terms. But for me, February last year, Stasha's was the first book. But now it's not. And then there was only 5. And that was like what, November, December? And now there's a plethora. So, no. Apparently not. I have one. It was called Alternate. It's called Alternate the Mandela Effect. It was published the year before Stasha's book came out. And then after Stasha's book, he came out with a revised edition. Chat about it. I don't want to mention who my guest was, and I almost mentioned it last night when I was on Rain on the Plains show. That was like an accident hour conversation. That was fun. And yeah, Rain on the Plains. If she comes in, maybe I'll get her in there too. Yeah, her name, Stasha's last name was changing around for me as well. And I never thought that, hey, maybe it's a Mandela effect. Everybody gives up. That's okay. All right, cool. Nobleness D's going to grab a drink and join me. He's going to probably talk about the Stasha Erickson book being the first book or not. Also curious about what he thinks about the event, even though that is definitely something I want to talk about this man. I haven't been paying too much attention to it because I don't want to focus on that. If something happens, I'll deal with it. And that's something else I wanted to talk about. I was aware of it for a long time, or how they're labeling it, the event. I was aware of that. I've got momentum built up in that. So something, but the momentum thing's big. I mean, I said this before. I have things going on in my life now that I don't necessarily desire, but I've put such a momentum out for those things. They're coming in now. There's some of those things I wanted, and some of them I take them or leave them. You know, at the time, I'm like, oh, you just don't realize, I guess. So now I know you notice that everything keeps changing. It's because the cats like to play up here. Not really much I could do about it. And I did add a few new ones. The shirt, the Anheuser-Busch shirt. And there's a Bud bottle over there somewhere behind me. Something else, I forget. Oh, I'm using it for my coffee.
I think I made it.
The Hogwarts. Somebody's here.
I think I'm here.
All right, I got to figure out how to.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I want to make sure there's no echo because you're blasting out of my speakers now.
Oh, sit back a little bit. My microphone's sensitive. I blast up everybody's speakers.
Well, I can just lower it, but I don't know if now. Can everybody in chat hear me okay, or did my voice get lower? I have to wait for the lag. Now, Noble, are you here? Okay. Sorry. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm still on. I lowered everything. It should be okay. I got to be careful with them controls, I guess. But Noble, have you looked up the other book, The Alternative? I got it right here. Let me pull it out. Okay. Oh. Where is it? Now that big yellow star says 2017 revised edition. New content, 5 new Mandela Effect examples. Jay Wheeler. First edition, 2016. Yep. So, and again, this is Erickson's book. 2017. And I really thought she was the first one that used the Mandela Effect title. And you know what? In reality, she did. I'm sure of it. I did go through these other books. The Great Deception of the Mandela Effect. You know, the title turned me off. But I went ahead and, grabbed it anyway, and it's not bad. He's not debunking the Mandela Effect, which is what I expected, from the title. But I figured I wanted to try and get a few points of views. But it was okay. I don't even think I finished it, though. A lot of it was Bible passages that I wasn't familiar with, so I can't compare it because he went through a ton that changed. This guy really sounded like he knew what he was talking about.
What was his point about the deception part?
Say that again. I didn't hear the question.
What was the point in the book for the deception portion of it?
I didn't get any of that. I didn't get any deception from that book at all. Or at least that's I didn't finish it. There might be something at the end. I don't know. Can everybody hear Noble? Because
My internet might be really bad. I don't know.
it's just weird how I Xing out the sound and you're still blasting through the speakers.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why.
It's my life.
Oh my God. I just shut my speakers off and you're still coming through. It's got to be something else. I think I know what to do, but I don't want to screw up the sound. Yeah, they hear you, so I'm okay, whatever. As long as they hear you, I ain't sweating it. This one here, I enjoy. What's that?
I see Bubbles mentioned Shawn Indigo. Oh, he's here. Oh, hey.
Is he in the room? Yeah, I'm here. Just can't seem to connect. He was my guest. Shawn Indigo was supposed to be my guest tonight. And I can't video wise yet. Okay, good. That's what I want to hear, Shawn. Go ahead and work it. I could send you a link again if you need me to. Let me know. I'd like to get him on. What? I know he has some info.
You don't have to have video. You just turn the camera off. If you can use Google Hangouts at all. So what do you think with the Berenstein Bears? Was it Berenstein Bears or was it Bernstein Bears? Because it seems like everybody misses this obvious second change or something.
I don't. I'm sorry, Noble. I'm still having problems with the sound. What was your question?
What was your thought on the first portion of the spelling, the Berenstein Bears?
Had no. How does Scarab put it? I had no dog in that race. I didn't know. Right. For me, I was in Pittsburgh 2012, and I was in a bookstore, and for the life of me, I have no idea why. I just turned. I'm looking at these children's books, and I'm just staring at them. Berenstein Bears. I don't know how it was spelled then when I'm looking at it. I just know that I thought, oh, wow, a new children's book is out. 2012. Never heard of them before. My daughter was born in, she'll kill me, 01? No, 02? She's going to kill me.
Right.
And I would have been reading them. She read everything under the sun. So, I would have read them. I would have known about them. I would have watched the cartoons. They were around since 62. It just made no sense to me.
Yeah, I think go on a low for a while, and then they kind of made a comeback again. So it's possible you could have missed it.
If you say so, it's okay. I mean, I could have. I won't deny it. Uh-oh. So, but
did you catch the show last night?
Great, you're talking. Can you guys hear Noble? I can't. Hold on.
Did you hear the show last night? The Mandela Monday?
There you go. What did you just say?
Did you catch the show on Mandela Monday?
Last
night.
Last night. Maybe parts of it. I try when I'm in the bar, I'll be listening here and off and on. And I get upstairs and if I can, I'll listen to it. Why? What happened? What I miss?
We covered a few possible new changes and talked about the new Samsung website that has a setup so you can forget your favorite TV show and watch it all over again for the same time, as if it's the first time you ever watched it, to erase the memories. Yeah,
What?
it's a hypnosis website. Yeah, you just listen to like a 25-minute video, get a one night sleep, and then you can watch your whatever you want, Game of Thrones all over again for the first time.
No. Well, see, that's really
Yeah,
strange.
it's pretty creepy.
It just, I remember before I started to notice the effects, I remember what I was watching, and it was all timeline jumping, dimensional TV shows, Fringe, Continuum. I'm sure there was a
Right.
Star Trek in there.
Yeah, I was watching Fringe. It was pretty good. And Doctor Who.
Fringe. But that's where my focus was. I mean, I didn't know about the Mandela Effect. I was trying to find something to distract myself with. You know. But how do you feel about, you were sure Stasha was the first one?
Yeah. Because I searched Mandela Effect books, and even before she printed hers, because I knew what the title was going to be, and I don't think there was anything out there, because I was amazed, that she was going to get that title. It was pretty sweet,
There was not anything out there. Hers was the first book, hands down. I remember that. I was looking for it. Yes, that's noble. That bothers me. But now I'm thinking, you know what I want to do? I think I want to have my memory erased on watching Fringe, so I can watch it over again. I've watched it 3 times already, but you're right. I remember the first time I watched Fringe, and after every single episode, I would go, as soon as it would end, I would go, no way. Oh my God. Every time. And the second time I watched it, I was thinking to myself, why was I so surprised? Why I can't understand why he acted that way. It was like, so yeah, I'd like to get that whole, oh my God, no way feeling back. It was that was brutal. But no, I'm not gonna. I mean, it's just hypnosis. I've done hypnosis before. I've gone under before. I don't feel like I was ever not in control. I mean, I think if I went in something like that and said, no, I'm going to remember it, I'd remember it. I can't believe they can actually erase your memories.
Oh, dude, there's some serious hypnosis that can be done.
And when I said
when you watch people.
When I say I can't believe it, I mean I can't believe they're doing it commercially.
Yeah, that's the creepy part. It's on a website. It seems a little weird. It's out of Sweden, so it's not really, I don't think they'd be allowed to have it in the US, because I think it falls under the medical industry, right? But of course, it's the World Wide Web, so they just have it in Sweden, and there you go, right? And the dumb thing is, get this, 2 things. One, Samsung has nothing to do with the TV shows. It's supposed to be to help promote their new smart TV. But as soon as you start the freaking hypnosis session, it says to close your eyes. So what's that have to do with the damn TV? One,
Right?
two, when you go on the screen just before you start, down bottom, like it's just a black screen with some curly, twisty, dimensional thing turning, and down bottom it has a bunch of HBO episodes, movies and TV shows, Game of Thrones and a bunch of them. The very first, and what's not a movie, it's a TV show, a very first TV show on the far left, out of only little more than a half a dozen. Guess which one it is? You're not going to guess. It's Sex in the City. Not even kidding. Of all the stuff, of all the modern stuff, of all the famous stuff they could have shown, out of maybe movies and TV series, they show Sex and the City as the very first one. You got to be kidding me.
Wow.
I
Wow.
know.
Well,
It's
see,
killer.
that's the thing. If I'm downstairs at the bar and the TV's on, everything I look at is a Mandela effect. I mean, not everything, but I see a commercial and it'll be a jab. I was walking by the TV. There was some kind of award show going on, and that the Bee Gees guy is they're playing that song that there was a lyric change in one of the Bee Gees songs. At the time, I knew what it was, and the Mandela effect just came. That Mandela effect just came up. A couple days later, this award show's on. They zoom in on him right on that line, and he sings it the way it is now. I was like, what was that about? And then they go to a commercial, and it's all, Taco Bell about something just straight out. And then they do an outer space commercial and reinforcing outer space.
So how many, that's one example. Is there other examples, or how many times have you had basically Mandela effect changes that you noticed, but of course you didn't notice Mandela effect and you never thought too much of it at the time? You just thought something was changed about it or whatever, but like, before you found out what the Mandela effect was.
Oh, back then, it's happened quite a few times, and I don't think about it. I remember quite a few times going, "Oh, that's just not the way I thought." Oh, they must have changed the title. Oh, that's weird. Song lyrics, I've heard change, and I didn't know what. I just went, "Oh, I guess I always heard it wrong." I'd say quite a few times. I do know that Listerine was probably mid 70s when it was LY. McDonald's was 79 for me. It was Mac. That's when I noticed changes then. And yes, that at that point in 79, I did have an event that could have ended in death. I mean, or hurt real bad. You'll have to buy the book. No, but what's in the book?
Right.
I'm kidding. Um,
You
uh,
know what happened to me a couple of weird times, eh?
what's that? What's that? Hey,
I don't,
sorry, I could.
oh man, like a few real strong periods. One I've mentioned before to people about McDonald's, and that was back in one of my best friends died in a bike accident in 1999. So this was either 1998 or 1999, and we're all sitting in the parking lot of McDonald's after going through the drive-through eating, and he starts like kind of losing it, freaking out. Like, it's supposed to be McDonald's. And you know how like we sound, right? Like, you start to get in that lunatic rage mode. Like, what's going on? It's supposed to be McDonald's, right? And there's like three other of us in the car, and we're thinking, yeah, I think you're right. It makes sense. I'm like, yeah, the Big Mac. I think you're right. And of course, kind of goes in one ear and out the other by the time the next day rolls around. The internet wasn't that big then, and we thought it's funny. We never heard it on TV or the radio or nobody talking about it. You think it would have been a big thing if it changed, the name of McDonald's. So that was one odd one, and we were teens or whatever, so we're busy, we're doing what we do, partying, going to the bars, kind of in one ear and out the other by the time a day or two rolls by. So that was the first time, and clearly like that was brought to my attention, right? Again, almost like cognitive dissonance in the long run. It just kind of goes away. Whatever, didn't even think about it again since. Took me a long time to remember. Even once I knew about the Mandela effect, took me a while to remember that. Another couple in, let's say, maybe around 2013, 14, at the girlfriend's parents' house for Christmas, get together. Her brother had got back from Costa Rica, and I had mentioned about it being an island, and he's like, no, it's not an island. It's in Central America. The thing was, I knew he was wrong. and I didn't want to prove him wrong. And I couldn't
No.
understand how he didn't know. He just came from there. But I know it's an island. It's like, I know exactly what it looks like. I memorized it hand in hand with Puerto Rico. You know, it's a rectangle. It points up and down, north and south. I know right where it is. No, it's not. It wasn't anymore. But again, you know, basically, I avoided kind of proving him wrong because I didn't want to be an idiot. You know, I didn't want to be mean to him to try to prove him wrong.
Not
So I
there.
just assumed he was wrong. Yeah, some ridiculous reason he was there, and he thought he was on the mainland.
But this was before you knew about the Mandela Effect?
Right, exactly. And then another thing that happened probably right in that same period, in the garage area where we go for a smoke, the girlfriend's dad is from Newfoundland. And I'm looking at this map of Newfoundland on the wall, and it's kind of like almost like the cartoonish, you know, they show little things on the island, you know, here's some mountains, here's some moose, here's some whatever, you know, but it's a map essentially. And down on the bottom right, there's this line in the water, like you know, like a divider line or, you know, a marker line. And I'm thinking, and I asked him, like, why is that there? Like, what's with the line? He's like, that's the other islands that don't belong to us. I don't even think he explained it to me. I don't even know. I don't remember what he said, but I remember bringing that up. I assume so, unless I'm remembering some sort of weird freaking memory update wrong. Like, I just remember this scenario and asking him about it, him telling me like those islands are separate from Newfoundland. I don't remember what he said about the islands, but anyway, there's these two islands called St. Pierre and Miquelon, and they're right beside this one arm of Newfoundland, but they're not a part of Newfoundland. There's a divider. In fact, they're not a part of Canada. They're a part of France. They belong to France, and they're like in my freaking backyard. There's French islands, just you could pretty much say, although officially not because they made this little area, but basically in Canadian waters. Look, that's retarded. And I'm not talking about Quebec French. No, I'm talking about the country of France owns these islands and always did. I'm like, there's when I found out, you know, more recent year here, I was like, you got to be kidding me. There's no way that these islands existed and I didn't know about it. You know, that just blew me away that there's French islands in Canadian waters. Basically, you know, they made this little pathway that they consider French waters. So stupid. But they use the euro there. Like literally the euro is used officially in North America. There's one there most people would have never guessed. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I didn't do a video. I was going to do a video on it. And then, you know, it was kind of early on in the Mandela Effect. And I contacted some friends from Newfoundland and like, oh yeah, people go there in the summertime for vacation and blah, blah, blah. So I started getting convinced. I'm like, maybe I'm wrong, you know?
Yeah, that shut you right down.
I mean, yeah, I just didn't feel 100% about it, you know, until later on I realized, no, people that live there are going to remember it, you know, or whatever in any case.
Yeah. Well, that's just showing us that it's not new. Okay. I don't want to say that it's been going on through time. I'd like to think that. I'd like to think it's natural, and the Mandela Effect, or what they label the Mandela Effect, has been going on throughout time. I like that idea. That's why I go towards it. But I don't know. It seriously could have just been them revving up their machines or whatever and testing them out. Early 70s, Listerine's changed. 79, McDonald's changes. You know, on the Mandela Effect site, there was a time where, what's her name? I forgot her name. Fiona Apple put together a questionnaire kind of thing with, they were doing where you live. They were doing tests on trying to figure out what was going on. And I can't remember what. Some of them were pretty neat, but I don't know that they came up with anything. I love the one section where they said, "What are your ideas?" It was a beautiful section. People were really coming out and saying, "Hey, it could be this, could be that." Um, is it natural, or has CERN, or now look? It could be both, and I really like to think it
For
is.
sure. Yeah, I
That
think
it
there
has
is definitely
going
a
on
mix.
naturally. Every nanosecond, we're creating motion and time. And I'll just use CERN as an example. I don't know. They come across this information. They know it. You know, they're smart. They're scientists, so they know what they're doing. And they start testing this thing. I'm under the impression that they were building the Hadron Collider in the 50s before they even had the technology to turn it on, or before they had, like, they just knew it would, they would have the technology in the future. Now, I read that somewhere. I haven't read it since. You've read about that, right? At all?
Not
Have you
that
heard
part of the
anything about that?
history, no. I know they have had colliders a long time, but nowhere near as big as the one they have.
Right, and that's the other thing.
Yeah.
The one in Switzerland's still the biggest.
Well, officially, I believe, but there are a handful of other very large ones, I think.
I heard
Southern
Japan.
California.
I heard Japan's big, and one that will be the largest. I think it was Japan.
I think China was
Maybe
going
it
to
was
build
China.
a big one.
That's what I
Yeah.
started to think. Maybe that was China.
And did you see Japan lately? It is
I
stretched
just know
so
it was
far
never three islands.
along now.
Well,
Yeah, and now those three islands, that's I think pretty much four islands now. It's like it's stretched like really elongated apart. Like the land, the water in between them. It's like, man, Japan's taking up like the whole length of the Koreas or something or more. I don't know. It's insane. But yeah, um, yeah. From my kind of perspective and theory and best guess on things, the larger the collider, it's more of a bigger reach than a small one. I think they could kind of accomplish the same thing, but not as huge of a reach. There's Shawn.
hey,
Cool.
ladies
What's
and
up, guys?
gentlemen, Shawn Indigo.
Definitely give you guys the floor.
Say hi, Shawn. Make sure we can hear you.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Nice, nice. Good morning, sir. Thanks for getting up so early in the morning.
I'm normally wake up pretty early, but I'm not usually too active at this hour. But I don't mind.
Cool, cool. So what you been doing? Seen your latest video. I was looking at the wrong screen. And I noticed a couple videos ago you mentioned the event.
Yeah, it's exciting. I was not aware of the specifics around a visual phenomenon that was going to elicit change in humanity. I was aware of basically invisible phenomenon that was going to elicit a humanity to awaken further. But yeah, it was fascinating to me that so many individuals throughout the world, mostly through hypnosis, but through other mediums like channeling, are reporting this visual event. Whether this actually manifests and we're going to see it with our own eyes is a question. But it is very compelling that so many individuals separately are reporting a very similar thing with a common thread of, yes, you'll be, if you're awake, literally physically awake that day, you'll see it with your own eyes, and it will affect the whole world. It resonated with me and initially, and then when I started to look at some of my other resources and other individuals who have connections to things, there was also this event wave thing. So anyway, it was a very fascinating. It was inspiring and exciting. So now after my initial creative surge to like kind of explore it, now I'm going to I'm kind of settled into the idea, and now I'm going to get into some more ways to look at it and to talk about it. There's a lot of people who are getting their hopes up if they don't see something, that they're going to be disappointed. So I need to get messages across that explain that it's imperative that people remain in a positive, have positive energy and remain optimistic, and to focus on the moment and the present, not the future. That's a mistake. So there's a lot of pitfalls for looking for this event and then freaking out if you don't see it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Right. That's what I was thinking. That's along the lines. One of my thoughts were with the fake alien invasion, that I've heard about many times. I'm like, okay, I'm exposed to that now. I'm focusing on that. Why would I do that? And what am I waiting for? I'm waiting. This event. Now all of a sudden my emotions, okay, I'm getting them up. That's good. But you're right. What happens if you get disappointed? You're going to bring those emotions down. And I really feel like, maybe you've heard me say, and I'm sure you have, that I really feel like emotions are part of your creative power. And they're dumbing down the emotions left and right. And it would bother me if this was one of those things. So I'm keeping an open mind about it. But I'm expecting something to happen. I mean, since the early '80s, I've heard about this event. It wasn't called the event. The McDonald's arches are going to be a different color. That's how it was described to me. And that's, an old friend of mine was describing the Mandela Effect back in the mid '80s. Said, yep, things are going to change right before your eyes. McDonald's arches, it'll be a color that you never even seen before. And these were things he was saying. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And then he started to tell me that we never went to the moon. So I stopped listening to him. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad would do the same thing if someone told him about the moon. I have a video that I haven't made public. I made it a long time ago. I decided not to make it public. I was just exploring the idea. When Flat Earth was getting kind of big, I was going to offer a suggestion that if the moon landing stuff is all fake, it doesn't necessarily mean that we haven't been to the moon and that it's all make believe and deception. And it might be that we have advanced bases on the moon, technology on the moon. We have on the quote unquote dark side of the moon. So there's basically they might be hiding their level of technology and advancement by putting in that fake videos to appease the public while they have advanced stuff on the moon.
Because they don't want us to know.
Right, so that's a possibility. I decided not to put it out there, but yeah, that's like. So anyway, yeah. So the moon. I mean, I haven't been up there. I don't know. I don't know for sure. I don't think any of us do.
I don't know. That's a great answer. And a lot of people around me, I'll be down at the bar and I'll ask them questions, and a lot of them say, I don't know. It's not a bad thing to get used to saying around me. But, did you do an interview with somebody about the event?
No.
Or did you mention somebody maybe?
I've put out this past week of several videos, but I haven't really done, except for a little bit of live to a couple people on You Now. This will be my first, second interview type thing on this format. I did one with Harmony a while back, but when he was still under his regular name.
Oh, wasn't aware of that. Look for that.
It was yeah.
Hey Suso, your microphone's just getting rough again. If you want to do that reset thing again, Suso, your microphones are getting pretty rough again.
Yeah. All right. There I go.
Yeah. I was also just going to throw in, I did see something on One Harmony's channel not long ago. He has some friend or some duty interviews or something called Brian. He had some really interesting stuff to say. It's pretty far out there, but it's really interesting.
I haven't heard that interview. I'm familiar with Brian by name. He was actually on. He was working with Harmony at the time. It was one of his friends over there. Seemed like a pretty insightful guy, but unfortunately my connection wasn't that great that night, so it wasn't a long interaction. How are you doing, Mr. Nobleness?
How am I doing? Pretty good, I guess. Been laying a little low on some Mandela stuff. I probably have like a dozen videos I should be doing, at least that many, but I'll get around to them. you know, you kind of go up and down and how much enthusiasm you had to put towards it and whatnot. But I've done some sort of, you know, chats and interviews and live stuff lately. I think on Meeg's channel and here with Suso, and a bit on Dan's show, of course. I was a little busy with that stuff, so yeah, not too bad.
That's cool. Yeah, I hear you on the what you get like creative, and it's when making videos or sharing information and connecting with others in a live or a public format, or just recording videos yourself. It's I consider it similar to a writer who has to, you know, who has a creative impulse to write, and if they're not feeling it, maybe they're not going to write that day, and then some days they just have it, and then they're going to town.
I know what you mean by that. How's the sound now? Is that okay?
I think it's better. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, there were some days I couldn't write at all. And other days I would just go nuts on it. So you're looking forward to the book, Shawn? Do you even know? I'm putting out a book.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
It is kind of exciting.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. But yeah, when the Mandela Effect first hit my awareness, I knew it was getting closer to this shift of the ages, this consciousness transformation of humanity and all life on Earth. I knew it was close. Mandela Effect. I heard in 1999, I heard something like that was going to come our way. It was explained to me that the entire physical world could be different when you wake up, but you might not notice it because a lot of times it's a very small change, but it happens. That we're constantly changing into different worlds, and a lot of times you'll never notice. But the whole world might be 100% identical, except one tree is out of place. You might never notice that. And then I saw the Berenstain Bears. I was actually researching parallel realities when the Berenstain Bears popped up, and for me it was late summer 2015, and I was like, and I was immediately like very excited. I was a little stunned, super excited. I was so hoping that EIN was gone because I was very confident EIN. So then I went into a couple other websites just to kind of Google image or whatever, Berenstain Bears, and it was all Stain. And then there was only a handful of videos available on anything about Mandela Effect back then. And I was like, wow.
There was nothing.
Amazing.
There was nothing out there. And I really thought you were one of the first people I started listening to when I was getting into it. And that's about the time. It was July, August, September of 15. Mm-hmm. Is that when you started posting videos? Yeah, yep. Yeah, August, September. I was having a lot of I was having some strange personal Mandela effects in general prior to learning about the bears. So for me, this was in March of 2015. Things started to get very, very, very interesting for me. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at I'm watching the video, like a cartoon kind of infographic video about our history, and then they mentioned the missing capstone on the pyramid. So I was like, I don't remember a missing capstone on a pyramid. That's weird. And the Great Pyramids in Egypt and Giza, I've literally I've seen thousands of images. I mean, I was obsessed by that because of my interest in Atlantis and pre-flood civilizations and how the pyramids were built and how it defies logic with regards to its precision and its longevity. So anyway, it was way different. The pyramids, there's so many, and I have a couple of older videos on what for differences I watched. But those pyramids have changed, and I was amazed. That was in March 2015, about a half a year before Berenstain Bears hit my reality. So yeah, the pyramids were different, and I was noticing little like a path, a dirt path, a good 6-7 feet wide. It's not like someone like a walking trail. This was a driving dirt road path that was right next to an apartment that I used to live at. And I lived there for 3.5 years, and that I took the bus for a while. The bus stop was right next to where this path was. When I moved out, about 2 weeks later, I was driving by, I saw the path, and I thought, how did they build that thing so fast?
I don't remember where did that path come from. I couldn't have missed it. But anyway, that was so I was noticing changes in my reality, literally. And then when the Berenstein Bears changed, I was like, aha, that's something that millions of people are going to get hit by. This is crazy. Everyone in my job, I was quizzing them, and they, you know, a few of them, their minds got blown, and the rest were just like, that's weird, and then they moved on with their day. But I knew when Berenstein Bears changed, I needed to go public. I always had a kind of a connection to public speaking, but it was never. I never knew exactly how it would manifest. And then I was like, all right, it's time to go on YouTube because these Berenstein Bears changed, and I need to like try and give my 2 cents because I think people are going to be fearful and freaking out, and this is actually a really good thing. And then like 6 months later, there's all these like CERN stuff and fear and the end of the world, and we're all fucked. And I was like, come on, guys. So
Yeah, now got to stay away from the negative stuff. You knew that was coming in. What about my voice? I see they're talking about my voice on chat. Great.
I think it sounds okay now.
Buy me a new microphone. We'll figure out what I'm actually doing here, because believe me, I'm just winging this. So, Shawn, there was actually more than one effect right off the get-go that really hit you. Like it was the Berenstein Bears, you said, and the pyramids.
Yeah.
So there was more than one, or was it a gradual thing? You kept kind of reinforcing it. I mean, for me, one should have been enough, but you know that 100%er for me was, oh, you know what's funny? I was already affected by Jiffy amazingly because I saw it on the shelf. Jiffy, and Skippy. And I was in Mississippi. I'm staring at them, and that's key because I stared at the Berenstein Bear books. I stared at Jiffy. I didn't know what was going on. I just went in this staring fit. And now I didn't normally shop for myself. I'd go to the pizza place down the corner or whatever. Or when I was in Philly, it'd be a cheesesteak. You know that.
Philly cheesesteaks.
Yeah. And you know, this time I'm in the supermarket thinking, peanut butter and jelly will be easy for a bachelor, right? And I'm just staring at the peanut butter. And I start to reach for my phone because I'm like, well, I want to take a picture of Jiffy and Jiffy. I don't understand why somebody's getting sued. Now, at this point, I've already been affected by Interview with a Vampire and Sex and the City. For absolute 100% sure on both of them. That should have been enough. But then it was actually being involved in it, observing it, seeing that, going home that night and having people talk on the Mandela Effect site that, hey, Jiffy doesn't exist. Now, I don't know how somebody found that. I don't know how somebody came up with it, but I typed in, no, I just saw Jiffy, and I believe I made a comment. The next day I went back to that store and Jiffy was nowhere to be found. And I know what I was looking at. You know, I was looking at all three. And it may have been the only Jiffy can there, or bottle there, or whatever you would call it. And it just, so that, you know, I'm like, okay, that's it. I was already into it. And then spring of 16 shows up. And this guy, I don't know if you know his channel, his name is Shawn Indigo, gets on and puts on, hey, the JFK assassination is different or something. And I'm sitting there watching this and I'm like, no way. Absolutely not. I'm looking at it. I can't believe I'm like, I have to do a video on this. So that was it for me. I studied the JFK assassination in the 80s. There was 4 people in the car. The car wasn't as long. There was no bar on the car. I'm pretty sure I've seen it light blue, yet I know the Zapruder film was black and white. So I don't know why I remember a light blue video. But that, you know, I mean, I was already 100% affected. But the JFK thing, I had a connection to that. I have a trigger because I studied it back then with other people, you know. So that was, thanks for that, Shawn.
Absolutely. That JFK stuff, it's definitely one of the easiest ones to share with a lot of random people from random places, where the majority of them are going to remember a different past for in the car, so to speak. It's funny too, because I finally told my own mom about the JFK. Like, she was aware of my channel, and she was aware of like, she thought, you know, logo changes and stuff, but it never really sunk in. And I needed to. I'm not going around telling people too much about the event, the human ascension. It's heavy information. It's good. It's light information, but it's heavy at the same time. So, but my mom's super intelligent, and I needed to just give her a heads up just in case about the event, in case it does come. I just want to give her a heads up. You know, it's like something to look forward to a little bit. So anyway, on the same night, I told her about JFK, and she didn't realize. So I explained about JFK and what's changed. So she's on the phone with me, looking on her tablet, and she was speechless. She was so stunned, so amazed, because that is so ingrained in her life, and she knew the details and what it looked like so well, and she didn't recognize what she was seeing. She couldn't believe it. She was so floored by the changes. Watching the Zapruder film, she could not believe it. She was literally speechless for a few minutes. She didn't know what to make of it.
That's amazing. My family, they just believe they all are confabulated, and I'm nuts. Although a lot of my family does walk around going, "Hey, did that change? Maybe we're in a different timeline," and they're being flipped. You know, they think they're being funny, but I'm sitting there going, "Absolutely," you know.
You figure there's got to be one, at least one, that each of your family members would. It's just unmistakable. And their only recourse is to avoid it, and to like. But then that would neutralize their feelings towards you with regards to your sanity level. If you find that one, and so they poke you, and you just kind of mention that one, you know it's changed for them. They don't want to talk about it. There's got to be one.
No, they don't. For my mother, it was the Lindbergh baby. I asked her, and she said it was a female never found. and I was like, no. And I told her, and she was like, oh, what's it matter? Maybe I just forgot. And that was the end of that. Shawn, let me ask you, what color is a yield sign?
A yield sign? Yellow, white, and black.
Hasn't been yellow since 1972.
Do you say it has or hasn't?
Has not.
Has not. Go figure.
Now, what shape is a yield sign?
It's a triangle. The triangle with the point up at the top.
Regular triangle with the point. Hey, Noble, you got one. You got a yellow triangle with that's upside right. You said you remember that. It's actually an upside down triangle, and it's red.
Yeah, nothing surprises me these days.
No, right?
I mean, I that video, recent video, I talked about the event last week, and I did have like not a premonition, a creative idea about this, the world completely changing to the point where the sky was different colors, and the reality was like completely nuts. Not reality was nuts like people were turning into ghosts and flying around, but that the physical environment looked completely insane, and it was like, is the world completely crazy? And I remember thinking that would be the beginning of the tangible part of the world peace event, so to speak, that we're hitting. So so I was kind of prepared for some craziness. So, and then, like I said, the Berenstain Bears changed, and I was like, it's really happening. Like, it's like right in my face. It's like tangible, and it's right there. And it's like, wow, I can practically touch the changes now, and it's in my life, and it's happening now. I thought it would happen like decades from now, and it's like 2018, 2016, 2015, boom. So I was so excited, and I'm so pleased, and I feel grateful to be alive while these changes are happening. This is historic.
Yeah, it is exciting.
What do you think
Noble, go ahead, Noble.
determines the changes? I'm just wondering, what do you think determines the changes? What does change, what doesn't, and yeah, perhaps how?
That's very interesting. What changes and what doesn't? I think it's us. I think we're the only ones changing. I think these physical things are there, and we're just flying right through them, shifting right through them through consciousness. It's
I
I
was
don't
wondering what Shawn thought of that. Like, what do you think determines what changes, or what does change, and perhaps what doesn't?
So that's an extremely not complicated. It's an extremely subtle phenomenon, and there's probably multiple different logical ways to look at it, but it's to try and summarize it. It's going to be a challenge just because there's variables that we're not aware of. So I'm pretty confident that there are very impactful variables that we are not aware of because we don't know what we don't know. So there's a lot of stuff going on that's coordinating this. So, but I think from our perspective, I think it's interesting and fascinating to guess that there's a pattern and that information being shared with regards to the specific changes. But my intuition tells me that it's more it's not, I wouldn't say 100% random, but it appears more random. From our human perspective, the changes are more random. But again, but then my logical brain, again, so this is why this is like, it's a mixed, I have mixed feelings about it, because my logical brain tells me that there's patterns with the like plural going into singular. And so there seems to be patterns as well. So I think there's some consciousness behind the changes, but at the same time, there's a strong feel of randomness. Now, so that's with regard to specific changes we might see. What's causing it, what Suso was saying, is that yes, I believe it's the individual. So each individual human being's experience in the physical reality is experiencing these changes or not. So it has to do with the person. Now, the humanity as a whole is, now to simplify things, our vibration is raising. Why is our vibration raising as a whole? Because of the environment, because of the energy that we can't see that's affecting us as an entire race, an entire planet. So it's almost like a pot of water is starting to simmer. We're in the water. The water is the environment, and as the water gets hotter, that's the energy, the heat source. Once it boils, then boom, we have this we turn into a different life form. Butterfly, caterpillar into a butterfly. But so it's starting to simmer, and as it simmers, it's shaking, and then we're getting all these like weird glitches and stuff. So the energy is a catalyst to cause human beings to change, and our vibration goes up, our awareness is enhanced, and now we're starting to be able to see changes. So it's I believe it has to do with human beings' individual awareness with regard, and the awareness is changing because of the energy that's kind of changing us from within. And a lot of people say it has to do with our DNA. So our DNA returning to what it used to be. So when our DNA is not dumbed down, we have the ability to connect to parallel realities. And one more thing on that is that the Berenstain Bears that we used to see with our own eyes was a physical world we lived in. The Berenstain Bears, which we see now, is another physical world we lived in. Two separate worlds. So we travel from world to world.
So do you think the other world still exists?
Yes, it does. I think it has to exist based on my concept of time being the present moment is the only time, the eternal now, so to speak. So at this very now moment, our past is happening as we speak. So that has to be a real place that still exists because everything exists in one present moment. So even though it was in our past based on our comprehension of physical reality, it's happening right now, and it's a real place, and it is 100% accessible. We just don't have the key to open the lock right now based on our human energy system. But if we were in a higher,
do you think there is a key to controlling, manipulating, using this energy to be able to shift your consciousness to where you want. And
Yes.
you think there's only two different realities, one or the other. Do you get what I'm getting at?
What's the second part of your second question?
Because you said there's, yes, the old Earth is there, the new Earth. And I'm under the impression it's quantum. There are some changes I've seen more than just two choices. Not me personally.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's something I think there's not a lot of coverage on out there in the Mandela Effect community, I guess. But yeah, I'm under the impression that there's a strong assumption by many who are Mandela affected that there's a one or a two, but it's just one or the other. But no, from day one, it seemed apparent to me that there's a great variety of differences, and I think I only did one example to really talk about it, and I explained that there's a guy. This is a hypothetical guy who is obsessed with his car, and he's staring at let's say the Volvo. He's staring at his Volvo, and it's the old version, the old Earth. The Volvo with just a circle, no crazy arrow at the top. So he's staring at that every day. He's obsessed by his Volvo, but he's highly Mandela affected, or he will be when it comes. So 2016, 2017, it rolls around, and everything changes for him, and he sees all these changes, very Mandela affected. But what did not change for him would be the Volvo. That would be exactly the same. The circle, he stared at it all the time. If you're very, very, very connected to something, it tends not to change. That's not a guarantee, but it tends not to change. That's why the country you live in doesn't shrink half its size, but a country across the world might. So the guy who was, this guy is Mandela affected, but the Volvo didn't change for him. However, there's a whole bunch of other versions of reality where that dude was not obsessed by Volvo and he was Mandela affected, but Volvo changed for him. So that's kind of where I was going with that. That you can have a variety of people. So you have a guy who says, yeah, everything changed for me with Volvo. And then one other thing is my friend who I used to work with. I did a video on him where he had a really bad strange glitch where his tooth broke. He could see his mouth, and then he finished eating his meal and his tooth was all back to normal. But anyway, that friend, he was not Mandela affected for anything. I was at work, everyone was saying Berenstain, everyone was getting all of them, well, most of them. But he was not Mandela affected. He was given all the current stuff. Oh, it's Berenstain. Oh, it's an interview with Love Him. He was naming all the current ones. But then I showed him Mr. Rogers, and It's a Beautiful Day in This Neighborhood, and he could not believe it. That was one for him. So he was affected by Mr. Rogers. He remembers exactly that it was a beautiful day in the neighborhood, but all the others were normal for him. So he lived in a reality where it's always been sane, and Mr. Rogers used to say the neighborhood. So you do get a variety. It's not we all shifted, and even though there's a lot of common ones, a lot of Mandela effects are very common, but you do find people who have some Mandela effects and not others. So we come from a variety of mixed past timelines, and we're all kind of intermingling. We come from different pasts.
I like that. I never heard it put that way. I was using the analogy where I would have a handful of straws, and that is a main timeline, and within that are all different changes, but within the same parameters, I would say. And over here is another one. So these would be the two, but I think there's more out here all over the place. Just like you're saying, I kind of like the way you're saying it better. We all come from different pasts. So the past isn't necessarily changing, but from our perception, it is changing.
Yeah, but it's interesting stuff. I mean, it's definitely makes you think.
Make you think.
That's an understatement.
Your head. Stop thinking. I was curious about how you felt about us creating, us manipulating. Now that we see physical reality is not what we've been told, and it's been basically nothing but lies, is there a way to harness that energy and create on our own?
Well, each human being is creating a physical reality. We're now a human being everything, your soul, everything you have. So there's a higher part of you, that your consciousness, your spark of God, whatever within you that makes you a creator being. Human beings, the energy that is inside these bodies, and we just have a tiny part, a portion, a small percentage of what we really are that can be withheld within the body. Too much of what we really are goes in the body blows up. It literally explodes, or it's just boom. So anyway, point is, yes, that energy that's within us does create, and we're creating we're basically on autopilot a lot of the time. So we're constantly creating our reality, and it has to do with our beliefs, mostly our deep beliefs that we don't even think about, our conscious beliefs, but our deep beliefs, our thoughts, feelings, and intentions. It all kind of works together, and a lot of it's happening where we're not actually consciously thinking about it, and we're constantly creating. And then, yeah, and if you're generally having again, this is a simplified statement, but a higher vibe, you're more excited, or you have more joy, more love, then your autopilot creation is going to appear. It's going to seem better, or more something you like better than if you're having more negative, lower vibration stuff, anger, greed. Just like you're thinking about revenge, and you're just, if you're really like pissed off. Now, if you're pissed off, that's okay. I'm not saying emotions are bad. But if you're pissed off, and it's because it's like you feel something was done, and it's an injustice, and it's like it's a love-based angle. But anyway, my point is, yeah, we're creating all the time, and we don't realize it most of the time.
And I think how we create. You said we're kind of on automatic. We're on autopilot all the time. And I feel that's because of what we take in. We're taking in garbage from the TV. You're watching a football game. The first 45 minutes is about a child with cancer. And then you're watching the game and you're like, yeah, let's kill him, blah, blah, blah. Your emotions are all over the place. And I just feel like watching that stuff is totally destroying and polluting your emotions. So now you're going in your head, because that's where we've been taught to feel from our thoughts instead of our heart. And I just feel like, everything, I'm like, I need to line up my thoughts with my heart. That's how I'm going to get out of that. My head's polluted every time I try and create something. It's been working recently with some things here and there. Coincidence? I don't believe in coincidence. But before, like anytime I know it's not going to work, it's because my head is just polluted with stuff that I don't really want. I really don't desire.
Yeah, there's a lot of garbage, a lot of energy garbage. There's just a lot of garbage. We're us individual human beings, and not to take anything away from the other life on the planet, but the human beings, we're so powerful, and we have so many abilities, and we're just so amazing. But because of the environment we're in, it suppresses and compromises a lot, like the majority of our energy, our abilities. So it's kind of like putting this giant lightning rod, this like glowing with all this energy, in an ice bath. And then the energy, and then the rod's cold. It's still illuminated a little bit. It's certainly doing its thing, but it's very subdued. So we're in this ice bath, all this negativity and deception. But every day, this energy, this new energy that we cannot see, but some can feel. It's basically it's causing, it's initiating, it's a catalyst to purge this negative energy, these deceptions, and it's withering away. The negativity is leaving. A few years ago, just a little bit after 2012 came and went, sometime in 2013, the world, for the first time since the Great Flood, became slightly more positive than negative, and that's an important thing, because that shows the momentum and the proverbial snowball rolling down the hill. We have a lot of momentum, and the negativity is leaving day by day. It's only a matter of time.
That's great. That's where your mindset is. That's where your mindset is. That's what you're focusing on. From my theory, that's what you're going to experience. You know, I'm getting on your coattails. I'm riding the wave in.
Speaking of the wave, 2.5, 3 weeks ago is when I first came across this information, and I was so excited. I've been on like a high, even more than my normal high of high on life feelings, and my luck. Knock on wood, but my luck's usually pretty good. It's been like outstanding the last couple weeks. I've been having a very unusual, really good luck. And I'm sure part of it is because of my internal state and
Yes.
the good feelings. It's just you know, your outer world reflects your inner world, and I've been extra excited lately, and my luck has been like extra good.
So wouldn't you say that's you consciously creating?
Not consciously. I'm just putting out those vibes and feeling real excited. And then I don't use my mind very much. I keep my mind. Well, I haven't like done a lot of meditation and stuff, but I have that kind of Zen stuff where my mind can be real still. A long time ago, when I first was awakening up in like 99, 2000, 2001, I had intuition about how keeping the mind quiet is a benefit. And that it's healthy and wise not to be thinking about the past and thinking about the future, because you're worrying about the future, you're regretting the past. Stay in the present moment, focus on the environment, take in all the sights and sounds and smells, and just enjoy the present moment. And I was able to still my mind. And so anyway, so I think through my heart, my intuition, I make my decisions through my like feeling center, and I've been operating there for a long time now. Yeah, so I guess I forgot what your question was.
No, I just love hearing you talk, especially when you say you I guess react from your heart. You know, that's something I've been practicing recently. You know, I've said it before, I've known it before, but I'm actually trying to apply some of the things I talk about now. And the good mood thing that you said, since I'd say February was a great month for me, and I started to build the momentum, and there was a couple of dips there, but I didn't let them get as far as they did with like there was a December shift, and that's the best way I can describe it. I can almost feel when the shifts come in, and when it's happening, I'm not aware. I don't say, oh, this is a shift. I just can feel the mood. I can feel the energy. I could see the people around me, how they're acting. Everybody all of a sudden gets the flu. It's, you know, to me, well, their consciousness is getting used to this body. You know, they're all in new bodies. You know, they're not used to it. Everybody's got the flu.
Light flu.
What's that?
Some people call it the light flu. The energy, the light flu. It's like, yeah, what you were describing. Their body's trying to adjust. Too much light.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. I haven't heard it that way. And like the word vibration, I don't know if that's okay, or ascension, which I've been coming across of lately. You know, that was an 80s new age word for me. And
yeah,
and now, you know, I'm like, well, no, I kind of want to bring that word back. I don't like using words, but I'm not worried about offending anybody anymore. But isn't that what we're doing if we're moving into a realm where things are different and a different vibration? I don't know how else to put it. Resonance. You know, that's what we're doing. We're ascending. So, I mean, in a sense, I don't see anything wrong with using that word.
it's becoming more mainstream every day. So yeah, that's like in the 80s. Well, for me, it was the 90s. Yeah, in the 90s. Yeah, like the ascension was. I mean, I was describing human ascension to my coworker in 1999, shortly after I learned about it, and was amazed and so intrigued. But I was describing how physical humans are destined to change form, and inevitably, back in '99, I was describing it to my friend that we would be like angels, like we would be this like glowing energy, like we would be glowing life forms and that can like do like freaking levitate and fly and shit. So I was exposed to that information back then, and I was trying to describe it. And then it was kind of quiet for a long time, and then recently, all of a sudden, the fire, the proverbial fire, is spreading, and more people in the world are becoming aware of this ascension thing. And this is a huge deal because that's the ascension is by far the biggest thing that any of humanity has ever experienced. and you can go back to the beginning of the Earth, and it's probably literally millions of years of life forms like us exploring this planet. The Great Flood was very recent in our history, very recent. It's a long time ago, but in the history of the Earth and the people, the Great Flood just happened. But anyway, my point is, ascension. It's very relevant. It's very real, and more people every day finally are starting to become aware of it. Yeah.
I think it's a fine term. I don't see anything wrong with it. That is what we're doing. I mean, I feel like, in a sense, sure. I mean, something's happening. For me to have the veil lifted the way I did, there's some sort of ascension going on. There's some sort of higher vibration or something that happened there.
And all we're doing is going back to where we came from. This physical free will, anything goes, people can kill each other reality, where the AI has worked with other let me call them negative ETs, who then worked with a small percentage of the humans to freaking influence and manipulate and do all this crazy stuff and to the mass people of the planet. And it's been going on for so long, and all that stuff's coming to an end. But yeah, it's the truth, and truth is a relative term, but the information is being shared, and the internet came around. The internet was a signal to the human consciousness. You're getting closer, just like the Mandela Effect was a signal to people that reality is much more than you might think it is. The internet was a signal to humanity to let that you're getting back to where you came from, and having telepathy. Now telepathy is the normal way to communicate. Using spoken words is very old school, very chaotic and barbaric, and very ineffective. Spoken words out loud is a very unusual and a super crappy way to communicate. It's just compared to all there is. That's the truth. So telepathy is something that we usually do. Humans in the history of the world, telepathy has been the way we've communicated. We've just been in these dark ages for maybe 10,000 years. But yeah, telepathy is the way to go. And the internet, my point is, when the internet was quote unquote invented and it came to our reality, that was a signal to something. It triggered something inside us, and it was basically whispering to us, hey, telepathy's coming back. So here's some practice. Everyone talk to everyone in the world instantaneously. Do it. You'll use devices, but eventually you won't need devices.
So you said something about going back, and now that's what we're doing. We're going back, and I remember those teachings as well. I remember reading about that. I think it's a 2,000 something year cycle. Maybe it might be 20,000 years. I don't know. And I was thinking about that. And I don't know about this going back thing. I mean, I kind of do if that's the way it works. But I kept thinking, well, wait a minute. If we were created, we came from source, whatever. I don't know what definition you want to use. And, it's spread out and now it's going back. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. If we're spreading out, why not keep going out? Why go back and then learn and then come back and learn again and then come back? I mean, we could, I suppose, but to me, I'm thinking going out and just keep going would make more sense. We're just going to ascend and then learn and grow, and ascend and learn and grow. And I mean, because then we'd be back at the top and go, okay, we're going to, because basically we I hate to use these terms, but we never really leave God, right? I mean, right. So even if we just kept going out to learn and grow and become and experience different things and different dimensions, I don't, it's hard for me because I'm under the impression this is the only physical reality, because before I was always like, oh, well, there's other physical planets and I want to go visit other planets and have my own starship and enjoy, experiencing all these other things. But there's dimensions out there that I probably will experience that I can't even comprehend. Yeah. And that's why I kept thinking, hey, just why go back? God is already speaking through me, experiencing through me, seeing this physical world through me. Why go back to hey, here's what I found. Here's what I experienced. It's for you. I would say, no, keep going. move on, go to the next level and continue to grow, continue to raise that vibration. I don't know, just a thought, putting it out there, because that 26,000 year cycle or whatever it is, I do recall that it's still programmed in me. As a lot of things are.
Yeah, that's a very interesting concept, and I've what you were describing about, just to summarize, it's so we're living, experiencing, expanding, living through different realities, different dimensions, and then we quote unquote go back to source or God. So yeah, like it's like, why do we keep going? Why do we go back to report what we discovered? So it's kind of like the whole point of existence. So we get cast, we get separated from where we came from, source, so that we can accumulate knowledge and experience, so that source can gain that knowledge and experience through us. So the question is, isn't source, God, creator, whatever, doesn't that consciousness already possess all knowledge? So why would there be any need to gain additional knowledge, because the knowledge is already there? So is God evolving? Does God evolve? And if so, if there's no time, how does that work, where there's a less evolved and more evolved? So yeah, so it's basically, the best understanding I have is that our human minds are incapable of really wrapping our heads around it to really for it to make sense. It's just so so I don't know if we're able to comprehend the purpose of existence.
Yeah. I think Noble knows. He's just keeping it to himself. Noble, you're quiet.
I know the purpose of existence. Wow.
You've been
right. Like everybody. Yeah. If I had to take a stab at something, there is a concept of if there's a God and he is all, then, and also when I look at the existence of a human with its limitations, I actually kind of theorized and realized that limitation is an experience of itself, and can actually drive emotions. And of course, those emotions are the foundation of experience. So to have actually be limited in certain ways can be a benefit, believe it or not. If that makes any sense. If you are all and you can do all and you can be anything, you are everything, then you don't experience things the same. You don't have the same emotions, the same drives, and the same ups and downs. And so there is a uniqueness to being human, for sure. Is that a part of what God's doing to create something new, to have some limitations somewhere? I don't know. That's one aspect I see of it. I don't, kind of contrary to almost all beliefs, I would say, I don't really think that we are ever going to be all the way anyway, sadly. But I do think there is a path, and I don't necessarily think it's good and evil, but I think there is a wrong path and a right path, essentially. An evil term, and as much as good and evil doesn't fit within emotion. That's my issue with it. I don't even think I don't like, for lack of a better term, the duality of it anyway. I think there is right and there is wrong, but the good and evil is another story. But there is two paths, I believe. And if you're going on the right path, whatever that is, that's debatable. But I think we'll always be on it, and maybe we'll always get further down it, but there'll never be an end. It'll only evolve. It'll always become more, and we can never become completely to the end. It's like going halfway to a wall. If you only continually go halfway, you'll never get all the way to the wall. It's impossible. But we can always get closer. And I guess sort of a theoretical answer to all that. But yeah, I gotta get going, guys. I see somebody else jumped in here too, but I haven't had any sleep yet.
That was Shawn again. Shawn came in twice.
Oh, okay.
Never seen that before. Noble,
but I
want to thank you very much.
I can leave you with a question.
Go.
I guess, Shawn, since you're here, I'll leave you with a question. Basically, two general questions. One, basically, you know, like where how did you come to the conclusions you have, or where did you get the information from, and are you more sure about it and the others more theoretical, let's say? And because I've heard quite a bit, but I haven't heard, you know, like where you got your info from. And as far as you mentioned, like these other players that are in the world, you know, people that are a little bit more destructive, for lack of a better term. What do you think they're doing about this? Because clearly they know more than we do. They know a lot more, and always, or at least for a long time, have been, you know, 5 steps ahead of us. So what do you think they're doing? Because they're probably pre-planned something, or trying to do something, or something, you know, especially when it comes to the masses of humanity and not just the few Mandela people ourselves. But yeah, what do you think they're up to, or what their plan may be, or how that's going to roll out? But anyway, yeah, okay, I'll leave you guys with that, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Noble, thanks for coming on. And before you go, I want to mention that I seen in chat you said you were going to put together a Discord for people to jump in and chat on.
Yeah, I got to get that. I got to do that just so somewhere for, you know, all the regular people and anybody else. I learned a lot on Discord from very early on Lupo's Discord. You know, I've talked to at least 200 people right in fairly early on.
Yeah, I was enjoying
heard from people around the world. Yeah, like a lot of stuff you never hear on videos. You know, a lot of personal things of how people were affected and details, and it helped me figure a lot of things out. You know, I think anyway, I had a lot of material to work with rather than just actual changes, but how things affected people and their lives and things around them. But yeah, I think it's important, and be nice for people to talk to each other when they can, you know, people that aren't always on live chats. But anyway, yeah, I'll leave you guys with that. I'll leave you with those 2 questions there, Shawn, and nice hearing from you.
Yeah,
Cool.
definitely.
All right, Noble, thanks for coming in, buddy. So what was that first question? Where have you been getting your info?
Yeah, so the video, my video feed cut out halfway through the second question, but I did get the first question. So, yep, first question is a good question. There's a couple of different ways I can go about it. So bottom, there's the first part would be just inner knowing based on experience and wisdom accumulated through past history. So different lifetimes, different existences. I didn't actually really figure much out until I connected to myself, quote unquote, awoken, whatever you want to call it, in the late 90s when I had some profound experiences with talking to other non-physical life forms through the Ouija board, and be able to have a 2-way conversation with non-physical life forms. It just kind of triggered something and woke me up. And I was not the same since. And I went from being like Mr. Spock to someone who has feelings. I went from being like left brain to right brain. But anyway, so I started to find myself and connect to my past history, past lives, whatever you want to call it. So there's my own personal experience, and then there's the other, and then other information. I was able to use my own body as a tuning fork to discern good information from crap. So I would go to the bookstore, Barnes and Noble, Borders bookstore, go to the New Age section, and start to look around and read and just basically try to get exposed to a lot of information. Over time, I was able to fine tune my body to get feelings and intuitions, and I could just, you know, you walk into a room and your hair sticks out in the back of your neck because there's something funky going on. I was just using my body to kind of like a tuning fork. But anyway, over time I was able to come to the understanding of some fundamental, basic, universal truths. And as I got more and more familiar with those truths, I was able to then look at other people's information and be able to find out, you know, where they were with their comprehension and awareness of certain concepts that I had a good understanding about. And then I could tell from how they were perceiving those concepts that I could relate to, if there was a connection there and there was consistency, then yeah, I could see what they had to say about some concepts maybe I was not as familiar with. And then eventually, I started listening to channeled information. Not all channeled information is accurate. Not all channeled information is good. Some of it's deception. A lot of it is just kind of a confused message. So people channel, and you're going to get a more clean or a less clean version of the information. But anyway, channeled information really did open my eyes to a lot of interesting things. Spiritual teachers. There's different spiritual teachers out there. And then so that would be another place of information, reading a lot of books, hearing channeled messages, talking to spiritual teachers. And then the third thing would be what I would consider one of my abilities that's developed in this form of me, because I don't have a lot of, I like to connect with like others. Like, let's say I'll just use females as an example, like females who might be like a witch or something. That's the kind, like, that's great, you know, they do tarot, they're intuitive, they like crystals, that kind of stuff's awesome. But anyway, but a lot of these these witches, so to speak, or spiritual people, you know, they have certain abilities like clear audio, clear visual, so they can hear voices, they can see things, they can see energies. So people have these abilities, these clairvoyant, clear audio abilities. I did not possess that. I could not do those things. I did not have those abilities. But I guess there's something called not clear consciousness. It's just it's a knowingness. There's this like, it's basically my intuition. It's just I figure things out. I know things. I'll be exposed to a little bit of the information, and then I'll just get a whole bunch of it, and it'll just come right down. People call it downloads. But yeah, so you know, I get downloads, I guess you want to call it, and we all do. I
think that's one of the terms nobleness uses. Is downloads.
Yeah.
Downloads in. Yeah, a lot of that was similar for me. Just inner knowing, a lot of it. A lot of that came in, and then with the experiences, that's just fantastic. So much more. What part of the second question did you get?
I only got the beginning about. I think he was talking about the negative people in the negative people in the world, and kind of what their gig is and what they're thinking, or something along those lines.
Yeah, and it's funny because I want to jump in there. I was listening to Quantum of Conscious, and he mentioned the Overwatch channel. So I went over and I'm listening to some of that stuff. And in one of his videos, and I have no idea where, he mentioned to where, what do we call them? The elite, the powers that shouldn't be, don't actually have control. What they're doing is they're still learning. They're still trying. Like, for instance, the whole transhumanism thing. He suggested that they really don't have it down. They just keep planting AI movies out there and AI information out there that, oh, we're all going to be afraid that AI is going to take over the world, when he feels that, you know what, they really don't have that technology. They're just trying to plant it on us because they know they've lost or are losing or whatever. And I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, basically the powers that were, as they are called now.
The powers that what? What was that?
Powers that were.
Okay,
that's becoming more and more common. You'll start to see that more and more, the powers that were. I'm going to do a video explaining a little bit about that, because people are embracing that phrase, but there's more to it than just the bad guys losing their grip of control over the world. The powers that were, it's more when basically they're still out there. You can still pick up a plant that grows off of the ground, walk around, and then get thrown in a cage for carrying a freaking plant that grows out of the ground. You can get thrown in a cage. You can go to jail for holding, you know, marijuana in your hand, or a bunch of other plants that grow out of the ground. So yeah, the powers that were. I'm not talking about the system being assholes. What I'm talking about is that the high tech reality manipulation stuff. You know, like CERN would be like the tip of the iceberg. There's like CERN, and it's people's awareness about CERN being maybe a negative force to influence reality. That's the tip of the iceberg. There's technologies that the bad guys have been using for a long time, but there's and those technologies are not being able to be utilized anymore. The energy has shifted to positive now. They're so, and I don't understand the details of how exactly these technologies aren't working. But what I'm referring to is the ability to stretch the timeline. So the richest, most powerful people in the world have technologies where it's maybe a week ahead of time, and part of it's using really high metaphysical technology that we don't have access to. But anyway, stretching the timeline. So let's say that the humanity as a whole was going to awaken. Inevitable that we're going to awaken. They've been able to stretch the timeline and push that back. They can't stop it, but they can keep pushing it back and pushing it back. And we should have had like our ascension decades ago. So they kept, but they've now lost. They've lost the ability at some point in our recent history to push it back any further. So now shit's going to happen, and there's no way to slow it down anymore. It's now up to us as humans collectively to pull this world peace stuff to us. But anyway, so the powers that were, they've lost some of their special techniques to fuck with us. Powers that were.
The powers that were. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I don't think they actually have control anymore. And if not, isn't that me because of where I am mentally, emotionally? I have shifted my consciousness into a timeline where they're not going to bother me. I've done that. I feel like I've shifted from natural disasters, or they happened and I just shifted out, and my consciousness shifted into a timeline where the natural disaster didn't take place. Quite a few other things with possible accidents or things that actually did happen to me. I figure wherever my mindset is when the shift is going on, that's where I'm going to take off into. So I really felt like over the past year, at least, I've stopped watching the fear mongering on YouTube. I held on to a few channels because I liked what they had to say sometimes, but not all the times. I dumped those channels as well. I mean, there's people out there that really feel like they're putting out good information, and you know what? They are putting out good information for 3D reality. And if you need to, you need that distraction, the fear, the Armageddon. I'm not buying it. I think I've been through it already. I already been through Armageddon, and I shifted out of it. And now it's that constant, oh, here it comes. And I'm not talking about the event. I mean, it's like we're waiting. Everybody is always waiting. We're always waiting for something, and that's got to be part of it. As far as emotions, I know emotions is a big thing on my list, but I feel like that's a big part of it.
We're definitely in we're in a timeline that would be most people would consider a good deal, because yes, there's other parallel to this one where there's other versions of us living in those timelines where yes, this ascension, this the ages that we're going through did have a lot of natural disasters. We're still going to get some natural disasters, but it's going to be very minimized compared to what it could have been back way back in the day when Nostradamus was looking into the future. That the things, the momentum and the energy was then. Yeah, a couple thousand years later, yeah, lots of destruction and lots of horrible stuff, and the Bible also has some of that doom and gloom in it as well. And this time these end of the world ages. But we're in a timeline. There's been enough love, enough openness, enough understanding, enough compassion worldwide to where it's going to make this shift less traumatic, less intense. It's still going to be all heck, been way worse. In some timelines, the only way up was to rock the planet literally, but we don't need that level of weakness. We're going to have a more peaceful transition. It will be intense as all heck, but compared to what it could be, yes, this timeline we're in, a positive emotion where it's not going to be too crazy.
I agree, and I like the mindset, and that's what you're going to experience. That's what I'm going to experience, because that's where our mindset is. I think it's possible if you're watching those other Armageddon things and all. That's what you're going to experience. I mean, I really think that's possible. It's, you know, I don't know though. I gotta always say I don't know. Always
Yeah.
gotta go with that.
Yeah, and then I recommend people study law of attraction because it's a very very tangible, very realistic, and it's just something that anyone can do, and it's just a matter of practicing law of attraction, and you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. Now, of course, a key factor in law of attraction is belief. You have to believe that what you're doing, thinking, feeling, and saying is going to impact your future, your fate, what's going to happen to you in the in the next moments, hours, or days, or months, or years. So law of attraction is it's just a term to describe how we can take control of the steering wheel and steer the ship a little bit in this physical world.
You really do have to believe it. I mean, I really feel like we'll be living in a time where human beings can fly without the airplanes and everything else. Why isn't it happening now? It's not happening. I'm not doing it because I really don't believe it. I mean, that's, you know, I mean, I really feel like it'll happen in my lifetime, but how much do I really believe that? You know, it's definitely a lot. I definitely feel like has a lot to do with your beliefs. 100% on that. What was I going to ask you?
I gotta get ready for work, sir.
All right, man. Hey, listen, Shawn, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on. And I'm going to leave a link for your channel in the description. You still with me? Oh, okay. I was like, damn, he just took off. And yeah, I'll have everybody watching out for your channel and see what you're going to do and see if you talk about the event and see if, I mean, you know, I know there's no timeline for any of this stuff, so it could happen anytime.
Yeah, literally anytime. Yeah, I look forward to getting more into the event and trying to. I'm going to try and give a rational and as realistic explanation as I can, and just kind of connect with it. And no one knows for sure exactly what's going to happen, but I'm going to at least go over some scenarios and give people some guidance and some advice so that people will be more prepared. And my main thing is not to be disappointed if things aren't happening how you like, because you're missing the whole point if you're focused on waiting for something to happen, and until it happens you're going to be disgruntled. You're missing the whole point of that's where you're coming from. So I'll be getting into that too.
I'm totally agreed. Totally agreed. Listen, keep in touch. You got my number, right? I'm sure I sent it to you. Text me, give me a call.
The audio.
All right, you lost it? You back on?
I can hear you a little bit.
All right. All I'm saying is just keep in touch. I know you got my number, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Sent that to you. Keep in touch. I had a great time. I love your insight. And thanks a lot for joining me. And thanks for Noble coming in, saving me early on. Had a lot I wanted to talk about. It just wasn't coming out. Thanks for everybody in the chat and my new wrench holders. And I'm going to come on a show, and I'll do something next week too. Why not? Let's get it going.
All right. Thanks, Suso and everybody, and I'll see you here.
Thanks for coming in, Shawn. Thanks, everybody. Good night, everybody.